I'm Jessie Carter, 29, a marketing coordinator in Chicago, where skyscrapers gleam and dreams feel within reach. Growing up in a modest Elmhurst suburb, I learned resilience early. My dad's hardware store went under when I was 12, leaving us scraping by. Mum's late-night sewing and Sarah's fierce optimism kept us afloat. That grit got me through college and into a bustling marketing firm, where I met Daniel Hayes, my boss and now my fiancé. His steady hand and warm smile turned late-night campaign pitches into something more. A love built on shared goals and quiet moments over coffee. Last Sunday, I sat at Daniel's parents' polished oak table in their North Shore mansion, my heart racing. We just announced our June wedding, and the room buzzed with toasts from my sister Sarah, her husband Mark, and Daniel's parents, Margaret and Robert. Their crystal chandelier gleamed, reflecting my hope for a new family. Then, Rachel, Daniel's sister, stormed in from the restroom, her eyes blazing. "Jessie, you thief!" she shrieked, clutching a sleek leather wallet. "This was in your bag." The room froze. My stomach dropped, heat flooding my face as every eye turned to me. Sarah's hand tightened on her wheelchair's armrest. Daniel's jaw clenched. I'd never touched her wallet, but there it was, dangling from her manicured fingers, pulled from a bag beside me. My mind scrambled. How could this happen? I'd spent months trying to win Rachel over, despite her endless lunch borrowing and Daniel's warnings about her selfish streak. Now, in front of our families, she branded me a criminal. I wanted to scream, to run, but Sarah's calm gaze anchored me. I'd faced betrayal before, friends who ditched me when money got tight. But this cut deeper. This was family, or supposed to be. My heart pounded with humiliation, but a spark of defiance flickered. I wasn't the girl who folded anymore. "Rachel," I said, voice steady despite my shaking hands, "let's talk about what's really going on." Laughter bubbled up, nervous but sure, as I prepared to unravel her lie. I wasn't just fighting for my name. I was fighting for the life Daniel and I were building. My life wasn't always Chicago's bright lights. In Elmhurst, our 2-bedroom house smelled of Mum's lavender candles, masking the stress of unpaid bills. Dad's store closing hit hard. I took babysitting gigs at 14 to help out. Sarah, my big sister, was my rock. Her autoimmune disease stole her ability to walk by 16, but not her spirit. She'd sketched designs in her wheelchair, dreaming of art school, teaching me to push through pain. Now, 37, married to Mark, a patient high school teacher with 2 kids, Sarah's freelance graphic design work keeps her thriving. Her smile at my engagement news felt like home. Daniel came into my life 3 years ago at Apex Marketing. At 32, he was the kind of boss who remembered your coffee order and cared about your ideas. We bonded over late-night ad campaigns, laughing about our shared love for old jazz records. His kindness cracked my guarded heart. Past friends had ghosted me when I couldn't keep up with their lifestyles. Daniel was different. He saw me. After 2 years of dating, he proposed under a Lake Michigan sunset, promising a life of trust. I said yes, tears mixing with lake breeze. Visiting my family to share the news, Sarah and Mark threw us a small dinner. "Daniel, your family now?" Sarah said, her kids giggling around her wheelchair. Mum and Dad beamed, proud I'd found stability. But Daniel's family was trickier. Margaret and Robert welcomed me at their mansion, all warm hugs and homemade lasagna. But Daniel's hesitation about his sister Rachel gnawed at me. "She's complicated," he said, eyes clouded. "She's 34, divorced, and can be entitled. Just be careful." I brushed it off, eager to bond with my future sister-in-law, imagining holiday dinners together. How naive I was. Rachel's first impression, bold makeup, sharp smirk, felt like a warning. Her questions about my job and income were less curious, more calculating. As we left, her "let's stay in touch" felt like a challenge, not an olive branch. My gut whispered trouble, but I pushed it down, clinging to hope for family harmony. Rachel didn't waste time. The day after we met, my phone pinged with her email. "Lunch tomorrow? Our offices are close." I saw it as a chance to build a bridge, so I agreed. At a trendy Loop cafe, her designer heels clicked as she ordered lobster rolls, then frowned at the bill. "Oh, Jessie, I forgot small bills. Can you cover me? I'll pay you back." Her smile was too smooth. I paid thinking it was a one-off. But lunch invites kept coming. Each time, Rachel forgot her wallet or claimed she was short on cash. By the third time, my wallet ached and doubt crept in. I confided in Daniel, who sighed. "That's Rachel. She's always been reckless with money. After her divorce, she burned through her ex's savings. I hoped she'd change." His worry fueled mine, but I kept trying, not wanting to start our marriage with family drama. Rachel's emails turned pushy, suggesting dinners I couldn't afford. When I started dodging her with work excuses, she showed up outside our office one evening, her voice cutting through the Loop's bustle. "Jessie, spot me for dinner with friends? I'm short." She grinned, ignoring Daniel's glare. Colleagues stared, my cheeks burning. "Rachel, you haven't paid me back for lunches," I said, voice tight. Her pout was theatrical. "We're family. Don't be stingy." Daniel stepped in furious. "Enough, Rachel. Pay her back or stop asking." She scoffed, calling me uptight, claiming I must be broke if I cared about a few bucks. The public jab stung, reminding me of high school friends who mocked my thrift store clothes. I walked away, Daniel's hand in mine, but Rachel's voice chased us. "You'll regret this." My heart sank, fearing her next move. I wanted a sister-in-law like Sarah, who'd give her last dollar without asking. Instead, Rachel's entitlement was a growing shadow, threatening the family I dreamed of. As wedding plans ramped up, I braced myself, sensing her resentment wasn't just about money, it was personal. Wedding plans consumed my days, venue tours, dress fittings, guest lists, but Rachel's shadow loomed. Her emails dwindled, but each one carried a barb. "Heard you picked a fancy venue? Must be nice." I ignored them, focusing on Daniel's steady presence. He'd catch my eye during stressful calls with caterers, mouthing, "We got this," easing my nerves. But his silences about Rachel worried me. "She's just jealous," he'd say, brushing it off. "She's always wanted what I have." His vague warnings left me uneasy, picturing holiday dinners tainted by her glares. Sarah noticed my stress during a coffee meet-up at her cosy Evanston home. "Jessie, you're carrying too much," she said, her wheelchair tucked by the table, her kids' drawings pinned to the fridge. I spilled everything. Rachel's mooching, the office scene, my fear of family rifts. Sarah's eyes softened. "You've always wanted everyone to get along, but some people don't play fair. Protect your peace." Her words hit home. I'd spent years pleasing others, from classmates to ex-friends, only to be burned. I vowed to set boundaries, but Rachel's unpredictability kept me on edge. One night, Daniel came home tense. Rachel called Mom, whining about us excluding her from wedding plans. My stomach twisted. We hadn't invited her to help because of her antics, but her complaint felt like a prelude to something bigger. I lay awake, replaying her smirk from our first meeting, her voice calling me stingy. My old insecurities, feeling like the poor kid in a rich world, resurfaced. Daniel pulled me close, whispering, "She can't ruin us." His faith steadied me, but I sensed Rachel was plotting. The family dinner was days away, a chance to unite our families, but my gut screamed caution. I clutched Daniel's hand, praying my dream of a united family wouldn't crumble before it began. The Hayes' dining room glowed with candlelight, the air rich with roasted lamb and laughter. Margaret and Robert toasted our engagement, their warmth wrapping me like a blanket. Sarah and Mark chatted with my parents, their ease a reminder of the family I cherished. Rachel arrived late, her perfume sharp, her smile tighter than usual. She said little, which felt ominous, her eyes flicking to me as she sat near Sarah. I pushed down unease, focusing on Daniel's hand under the table, his thumb tracing circles on my palm. Dinner flowed smoothly. Stories of Daniel's childhood, Sarah's witty quips about her kids. I relaxed, thinking maybe Rachel would behave. Then she excused herself to the restroom, leaving her purse by her chair. Minutes later, she returned, her face a mask of fury. "My wallet's gone!" she cried, scanning the table. Before I could react, she grabbed the bag beside me, Sarah's, not mine, and yanked out her wallet. "Jessie, you took it!" she accused, holding it aloft like evidence. Gasps rippled through the room. My heart plummeted, shame flooding me as if I were a kid caught stealing candy, though I'd done nothing wrong. Daniel's voice cut through. "Rachel, stop this!" But she barreled on, calling me a thief, threatening a lawsuit. My throat tightened. Memories of past betrayals, friends who spread rumours when I couldn't afford their parties, surging back. I wanted to shrink, but Sarah's steady gaze held me. I laughed, shaky but defiant, the absurdity of her lie breaking through my shock. "Rachel, that's not my bag," I said, voice firm. Sarah leaned forward, her calm cutting the tension like a knife. "It's mine, Rachel. Care to explain?" The room stilled, all eyes on Rachel, whose triumph faltered. My pulse raced, not just with anger, but with a spark of hope. Maybe her lie would unravel and I'd reclaim my truth. Sarah's voice, steady as ever, pinned Rachel in place. "My bag, Rachel. You thought it was Jessie's, didn't you?" Rachel's face froze, her eyes darting like a cornered animal. I watched, heart pounding, as the dining room's warmth turned electric with tension. Sarah continued, her wheelchair a quiet anchor. "You greeted us before dinner, sitting close to my bag. I felt you shift it behind you. Odd, but I didn't think much of it then. Did you slip your wallet in, hoping to frame Jessie?" Rachel's mouth opened, but no words came. My laughter grew, not from joy, but from the sheer audacity of her plan. "Rachel, you really thought this would work," I said, anger edging my voice. Daniel stood, his face thunderous. "She's done this before, lying to get her way. She's been bad-mouthing Jessie to me for months, trying to break us up." His words hit like a punch. Rachel had whispered lies about me, claiming I was after his money, that I wasn't good enough for the Hayes family. My chest ached, betrayal mixing with relief that Daniel never believed her. Sarah's calm fury cut deeper. "Jessie told me about your lunch scams, Rachel. You're 34, yet you act like a spoiled child, hurting my sister to feel better about yourself." Margaret gasped, Robert's face darkening. Rachel stammered, "You're all ganging up on me." But her voice cracked. I felt a pang of pity. She was unravelling, but it faded fast. She tried to humiliate me in front of our families, to tear Daniel and me apart. My hand shook, not with fear now, but with resolve. "Rachel, I wanted us to be family," I said, voice steady. "But you crossed a line." Daniel's arm around me felt like armour. As Rachel's eyes welled with angry tears, I knew this wasn't over, but I was ready to fight for my future, no matter what she threw next. Rachel's outburst hung in the air, her face flushed with defiance. "You're making me the villain?" she snapped, glaring at me. "I've opposed your marriage from the start, Jessie. You don't belong with Daniel." Her words stung, but they also lit a fire in me. I'd spent years proving I belonged, through late nights at work, through rebuilding after my family's struggles. I wasn't about to let her unravel that. Daniel's voice boomed. "That's enough, Rachel!" His eyes blazed with a fury I'd rarely seen. "You've been trying to sabotage us for months. Lying about Jessie, begging for money, now this stunt. You planted that wallet to humiliate her." He turned to me, softening. "Jessie, I should have told you sooner. Rachel's been calling me, saying you're untrustworthy, claiming you'd ruin our family. I never believed her, but I didn't want to stress you. My heart twisted, gratitude for his trust mixed with hurt that he kept this from me. Margaret's voice trembled. Rachel, how could you? Robert added, we raised you better than this. Sarah chimed in, her tone like steel. I saw you hovering near my bag, Rachel. You thought it was Jessie's because you didn't know I use a wheelchair. You didn't count on me noticing. Rachel's eyes widened, her scheme laid bare. I felt a surge of pride for Sarah. She'd always been my protector, even from her chair. The room's silence was heavy. I stood, voice calm but firm. Rachel, I tried to connect with you, paid for your lunches, ignored your jabs. But framing me? That's unforgivable. My emotions churned. Anger at her betrayal, relief at the truth surfacing. Rachel's lip quivered, but she doubled down, storming toward the door. You'll all regret this, she shouted, slamming it behind her. My shoulders sagged, not from defeat, but from the weight of a truth finally exposed. Daniel squeezed my hand, and I knew we'd face whatever came next, together. Rachel's exit left a void in the dining room, the clink of wine glasses now silent. Margaret's eyes glistened with tears. Jessie, I'm so sorry, she said, her voice cracking. We never imagined Rachel would stoop this low. Robert nodded, his face etched with shame. We've always treated her and Daniel equally, but she's always wanted more. My heart ached for them, parents blindsided by their daughter's actions, but I felt a quiet strength. I wasn't alone in this. A week later, a call from Rachel's ex-husband Tom shattered any lingering doubts. Over speakerphone at the Hayes' home, he revealed Rachel's divorce wasn't just a clash of personalities. She'd drained their savings on designer bags and late-night club binges, leaving him with debts she promised to repay, but never did. Worse, she'd been fired from her event planning job for skimming client funds. I thought you should know, Tom said, since she's targeting Jessie now. My stomach churned, picturing Rachel's smug grin as she'd asked for lunch money. She wasn't just manipulative, she was desperate. Margaret and Robert were devastated. We've enabled her too long, Robert admitted, his voice heavy. They confronted Rachel, demanding she repay me for the lunches and face her debts. When she refused, blaming everyone but herself, they made a painful choice. They cut her off, refusing contact until she took responsibility. I felt a pang of guilt. Family shouldn't fracture like this. But Sarah's words echoed. Protect your peace. Rachel's actions weren't my burden. I sat with Daniel that night, the Chicago skyline glittering outside our apartment. I should have warned you more, he said, guilt in his eyes. I shook my head, touching his cheek. You trusted me to handle it, and I did. My heart swelled with resolve. Rachel's schemes had tested me, but they'd also shown me my strength and the family I could rely on. As we planned our wedding, I felt lighter, ready to build a future untainted by her shadow. Weeks after the dinner, my phone buzzed with Rachel's name. I hesitated, my thumb hovering over decline. Daniel glanced over, his jaw tight. You don't have to answer, Jessie. But I did, needing closure. Rachel's voice was tearful, almost pitiful. Jessie, I'm sorry. I'm in a bad spot. Debt collectors, no job. Can you lend me a little cash? We're family. Her plea stirred memories of my family's lean years, scraping by on Mum's sewing gigs. But pity turned to resolve. Rachel wasn't desperate. She was manipulative. Rachel, I said, my voice steady, you framed me, lied about me, never paid me back for lunches. Family doesn't do that. Pay your debts with your own money. She sputtered, but we can start over. I'll change. I saw her smirk in my mind, the one she wore when she forgot her wallet. I wanted to be your sister, I said, but trust is earned and you've burned that bridge. I hung up as she ranted, my heart racing but light. I'd spent years pleasing others, afraid of conflict, but not anymore. Sarah cheered when I told her. You're tougher than you think, she said, her wheelchair humming as she adjusted it. Her pride fueled mine. Daniel too stood firmer, vowing to keep Rachel out of our lives. We learned she'd moved to a run-down apartment, then vanished when debt collectors closed in. Rumours swirled. She'd skipped town, maybe to Miami, chasing her old nightclub life. I felt a flicker of sadness for her spiral, but it wasn't my weight to carry. Each day I felt stronger, shedding the girl who tiptoed around conflict. Wedding plans took shape. Ivory dress, lakeside venue, Sarah as my maid of honour. With Rachel gone, I could breathe, focusing on the family I chose. Daniel, Sarah, Mark, our parents. My heart swelled with gratitude, not just for them, but for the courage I'd found to stand tall, no matter who tried to knock me down. Our wedding day dawned bright, Lake Michigan sparkling behind the venue's open-air terrace. I stood in my ivory gown, Sarah adjusting my veil from her wheelchair, her smile brighter than the June sun. You're stunning, Jessie, she whispered, squeezing my hand. Daniel waited at the altar, his eyes locking on mine, steady and sure. No Rachel, no shadow, just our families, friends, and the life we'd fought for. As we exchanged vows, I choked back tears, promising to trust and cherish him through any storm. The crowd cheered, and Sarah's kids tossed petals, giggling. For the first time, I felt free, unburdened by betrayal. We moved into a cozy Lincoln Park condo, its bay windows framing city lights. One evening, as Daniel cooked pasta, I stared at a pregnancy test, 2 lines blazing. My heart leapt, fear, joy, hope colliding. Daniel, I called, voice trembling. He rushed over, his grin splitting wide when he saw it. We're gonna be parents, he whispered, pulling me close. I laughed through tears, picturing our child, our home, our future. Rachel's schemes felt like a distant storm, powerless against the life we were building. Every night, I'd sit by our window, reflecting on the journey. I'd faced Rachel's lies, stood up for myself, and found strength I didn't know I had. Sarah's courage, Daniel's trust, and our family's love carried me through. I wasn't the scared girl from Elmhurst anymore. I was Jessie, ready for whatever came next. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've stood with me through accusations, heartbreak, and triumphs. This story isn't just about a wallet or a wedding. It's about finding my voice and building a family worth fighting for. If my path moved you, hit subscribe and join us, where every challenge shapes a stronger heart and every step forward is a new beginning. Keep forging your own story, and I'll meet you at the finish line.